Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. Another recording session. Let's twist out, let's see. Deal over 100 damage to an enemy hero is not too bad, so we'll turn this one out. Win 3 with the Hunter or Mage, and well, win 2 games and then play 30 Battlecry minions. Not too bad. And this is the old Tavern Brawl, so we don't have to deal with that. So let's start with the Battlecry deck. Switch from standard to wild. Now, I did have an incident where we got a quest. It's hardly an incident, that's the wrong word. I got a quest where it's a play with your friend quest, so it's another extra day. 5 people online doing something. Let's play ranked while we're here at it. So I got 80 gold through the watch and learn, just playing with myself on my other account. I wish there was something more I could do here, as I'm slowly adjusting the overhead light on my ceiling fan that has a dimmer on it, and it's too bright but also too dark. I can never find that middle ground. I wrote really small on my list of things to talk about. I have quite a lot to talk about. It is very strange how the amount I can squeeze on the board randomizes. It seems like depending on what day. Probably has a lot to do with how long I've been awake, whether I scribble really largely or write clearly and smallly and small, or maybe the light in the room, which I just was complaining about. So I have a lot to talk about here, but probably at most 2 recording sessions, 2 recordings I can make. I'm into Dawnguard DLC on Skyrim. That's something I didn't write about, but we can talk about for a little bit. Interesting twists, slightly better story in Dawnguard than what we've seen in a while for Skyrim. It gives you this whole vampire lord thing if you decide to go with the vampire range of this. Well, that was nice. Disconnect. I'm not uploading right now, although as long as I keep playing Skyrim or games that are as big as Skyrim as far as visual quality, it is always a possibility that I could be uploading and taking a lot of my data away from Hearthstone. At the end of the day, that never gets fixed. Unless I have just 2 internets, one for playing games and one for constant uploading, and I could somehow separate those 2 out on my computer, which would be really, really difficult to do. Like, I probably need to find some very custom software that says if traffic is going to youtube.com, use this network adapter, otherwise use a different network adapter. Metered, there might be some kind of metered connection that you can do there in Windows 10. They've reaffirmed that Windows 10 seems to be getting a game mode, which that would be excellent if I could go into game mode and stay in the game mode. The first question immediately will be, how do I lock my computer in the game mode all the time and never take it out? If you're holding a dragon, gain 1 attack and taunt. If you're holding a dragon, discover a dragon. Well, I'm gonna be holding a dragon for a while. Why do I have a Battlecry dragon deck? As somebody who specifically said that I didn't feel like dragon decks are good enough yet, why did I build one? I must have been simply trying to trying to prove something wrong or right here. Maybe learn something new. But back to Skyrim, as I'm bouncing off the wall, the Dawnguard DLC has slightly more interesting thing and gives you this Vampire Lord to play as, but you can't really play as the Vampire Lord, at least I haven't been able to yet, because if you turn into a Dragon Lord, your vampire companion, who is also a Vampire Lord, not Dragon Lord, there's no Dragon Lord as far as I know.
Stop distracting me! You think this is funny?
I guess I could heal him something, but don't need to. Even though your companion is also a Vampire Lord, if you turn it into vampire form, they seem to get mad at you and get in the way, and then you end up either killing them or they end up trying to kill you, which is not helpful. Let's see. Oh, I should have probably killed that guy. And at some point, possibly after the DLC, I'm gonna have to go into vampire mode and just attack a bunch of people and absorb a bunch of people to get all the vampire abilities, and then after getting all the vampire abilities, I'm gonna go get cured of vampirism to go turn into a werewolf again, and then let's see if there's 15 or less health. There we go. Job's done. And get the 11 werewolf perks, which I assume nobody explained the werewolf perk system, if that was really a thing before the Dawnguard DLC. So, I assume I just go to the companions, become a werewolf again, turn into werewolf form, and then start killing things as a werewolf. So, there might be a whole section there where I just terrorize the countryside as a vampire and a werewolf. But I'm close to being done with Skyrim, which is kind of nice, even though I'm slightly enjoying the idea of if you're holding a dragon, destroy a legendary minion. Guess I can't do that.
Secret agent coming!
Deal 3 damage.
For the spire!
Alright, so we deal 3 damage here.
For
We
the
kill
spire!
this one. And then we kill this one.
Job done.
And I still lose. Interesting. But all I have to really do here is play Battlecry cards, so no problem there. Let's move on to the actual things I wrote down. Epic/Microsoft is being sued for a Gears of War character called Coltrane, I think, by a former football player / pro wrestler that I assume goes by the name Coltrane. Now, here's probably where this is going to fall apart. There's a lot of people that have the nickname Coltrane, and it's not a real name. And if they're not referring, if they didn't make any references in it to say that the character in Coltrane in Gears of War was a former football player or pro wrestler, or in any other way could be identified as the specific Coltrane, if that is even the person that's suing them. If he's just trying to sue for his face, he's totally gonna lose. Because we already had the whole Lindsay Lohan precedent
The light
set
shall
there.
bring victory.
I don't know if it actually legally set precedents, but we've already had this happen where Lindsay Lohan tried to sue because she thought one of the characters looked like her, and almost certainly the artist who drew the character photo referenced her, but since they didn't call her Lindsay and they didn't say Miss Lohan, and there was really no connection there, she totally lost. I see no reason why the outcome would be any different this time around for this guy. It's even worse in the case for Gears of War, because Gears of War is in this alternate universe where they're not on Earth and there's all these other things. At least in the Grand Theft Auto universe, that's for the most part just set in a slightly satiricalized version of Earth. Gears of War is nothing like Earth. It's alien infested. Let's see. Gain 4 health for each card in your hand, or summon a random 1 cost minion for your opponent. Let's see. If I do this, it would kill both of them. And since I don't have a real reason to do that, I'll end my turn. I guess I'm bearing the lead here as far as stories. The Nintendo Switch announcement came out. I have several things here we can talk about. Let's see. Pay for online. Not at first, but you're going to have to pay for online, which most people don't seem upset with that, but they seem like they kind of wish it wasn't the case, that Nintendo had held out for an online pay service. I suppose as a Steam user, as a PC user, this is a bad omen for us, because if it may embolden Steam at some point to say, you know what, we're going to charge you for our service each month too, to pay for online, which isn't beyond the realm of possibility, because all of these online services, it's people, depending on the contracts in the background that we don't really know, it may very well be that all you're really paying that monthly online fee for is for matchmaking and friend finding and chat that happens on the OS level, and everything beyond that, the actual multiplayer between games and the actual features you would experience for online play, the online play that's actually on the game disc, might very well be servers that are run with no funding from that monthly fee. It might just be built-in costs to make it the makers of the video game. It would certainly also explain why a lot of video game makers make online games or online elements to games and then shut down the servers. If it really was a factor that they were getting money for that, and they can't just scale down the servers to a single one if only 5 people are actually playing their game. Destroy an enemy with only 3 or less.
Let reading dragon lie.
You think this is funny?
Job's done.
So then you get to this worry that the money you think you're paying for something doesn't even help it. It's almost kind of like a tax, where you would hope your taxes were going to good causes when you give it to a city government, a local government, and all that. But in reality, as far as the federal government, at least, the vast majority of your taxes are just going to funding the military, which is then going to private contractors, which is then just getting
Are you mocking me?
going right into the pocket of very rich people.
Once upon a time.
So it's just a 3-card Monty system. At least it feels like that sometimes with us. You would hope that the pay for online would go to keeping the online play options on the video games that come on the Switch running, but there's no guarantee of that. In fact, a great example of that is Splatoon 1. Now that they've announced Splatoon 2, I wouldn't be surprised if it's very close to that level that they start shutting down servers for Splatoon 1. They've already really stopped doing any events or support for Splatoon 1, and it's only been out for a couple of years, and it's been the only online shooter-esque game for Nintendo for probably a decade or two. Moving on, there's not going to be any Miiverse, and not going to be any Street Pass as far as I can tell. So if Mii's are going to play any part, which they seem like they probably won't, it's going to be very small. There's a game that's coming out in Christmas, basically 6 months later, after the Nintendo Switch comes out, that Mario Odyssey is coming out in Christmas 6 months later, which kind of means it's not going to be very helpful to the initial sales. Zelda Breath of the Wild will come out when the Switch comes out originally, but Breath of the Wild was originally supposed to be a Wii U game, so it's not going to fully embrace all of the features, and so the first polished, like, well-running game that takes all the features of the Nintendo Switch into consideration will be 6 months down the line. Well, this is working somewhat well, even though I'm not winning. I made a joke somewhere that said, not somewhere public, but I don't know. I told a joke to somebody. It doesn't matter. Forget the set. Where I said, well, since it's called Mario Odyssey, it means he's going to take 10 years to get to Princess Peach, which is a reference to Homer's The Odyssey, which is probably a book everybody in high school had to read or at least be somewhat familiar with, and then probably promptly forgot, where it took the main character 10 years to get back to his wife, and he went through a lot of journey there. There is a bigger issue, though, that seems to open up, at least in the realm of fan fiction, a question, because Mario Odyssey is, at least in some section, has this world that looks like New York, although it's not New York. It's a different thing. And Mario's walking around, and the humans in this world are twice as tall. And this looks like Sonic Adventures, which was a terrible game that's pretty infamous because at one point you have this half-height Sonic kissing and dating this girl in that game. It just looked weird, this blue hedgehog. So it looks a little odd. It's also a complete break from the from where Mario Brother games have been. Like when you think of Super Mario 64 and the Mushroom Kingdom and her castle, not the Mushroom Kingdom in 64, but her castle, it's this whole separate world that's its own thing. Let's see, can I do enough damage here?
Wield the power.
You think this is funny?
So they're really changing things, and maybe it actually is completely stolen from the story of the Odyssey, and he's just going to be lost in this weird world trying to get it. And he's bouncing off walls and climbing up skyscrapers. It looked a little bit like Lego Marvel Avengers in some ways, where you could run around New York and do all that. And oddly, Lego City, which is coming to PC now, also looks like Lego Marvel Avengers because it's set in New York. I bet they could reuse that map over and over in many kids games.
So many possibilities.
But the bigger issue that nobody's thought here, is at least for fan fictions, is now that Mario is actually in a city that looks like a city. The fan theory that was pushed and kind of suggested by Nintendo was that the kids in Splatoon, the Squid Kids, were the evolution of bloopers from Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario games. Well, the implication here now is we've got a city and we've got Mario. Is this city the future site of Splatoon? And I think you're probably not. That's probably not going to work as well as you would hope.
You think this is
But
funny?
For Blackwing. Job's done.
it's something that they've opened the door to. Now, I think it was called Squidopolis. Looked very much like it was in Tokyo. But this may be the very world. It may be that Mario ends up introducing squids into this New York world, and then 1,000 years in the future, they moved over to Tokyo and do that. I suppose New York, to a Japanese sentimentality, would be a better place to run around and jump and climb on buildings, because I bet even Miyamoto would feel uncomfortable having Mario jumping and climbing around buildings in Japan, because that just seems like something that would be unruly for the Japanese people. Plus, most of the buildings aren't that tall anyways. So, but yeah, my personal theory is at some point there will be some Easter egg that implies the world he's stuck in is where Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, when it comes out, are going to take place. And maybe that'll be a big twist, and we'll find out that Splatoon 2 is set in New York and not in Squidopolis. That would kind of work nice as a twist. The creator of No More Heroes wants to do more No More Heroes. Will that be No More Heroes 3, or will it be just a side game? He's not certain. He just wants to do more. He may turn it into a wrestling game, and that wouldn't be too off the mark because there were wrestling moves in the game in No More Heroes 1. I never got to play No More Heroes 2, but by that point I had already stopped playing Nintendo consoles, and I don't think No More Heroes 2 came out for any other systems. More JRPGs were announced. I don't have any specific names I can tell you for sure there, but it does seem like, because the Switch is this hybrid low-end console but high-end portable
Victory!
game
The
machine,
light shall bring
it
victory.
seems like Japan is slightly interested in that, and it's region free, the Switch, so now there's less reason for JRPGs not to come over. This may very well be a bad thing because we were just starting to see more JRPG creators think about making PC versions, and I think they'll still go that route, but that might slow it down. Splatoon 2 was announced. We've already talked about that. I never played Splatoon 1, but from what I hear, it's a great game, and it looked like a good game to me. Let's see. Oh, yes, there's a 1-2 Switch game that's some amount of audio only, it seems, mini games that show off the features of the Joy-Cons, which are the controllers on the sides of the Switch, which can be disconnected and used in several different ways. It looks pretty boring to me as far as the game. Oh wait, yeah, I didn't write down boring there. Yeah, 1-2 Switch does look like it's a pretty boring game, and you get bored with it pretty fast, so I'm not going to back down from saying that. But the next thing is the game called ARMS that I just wrote down boxing ? And later on figured out what the name of it was called, which uses the Joy-Cons to do some kind of boxing. What gets me about that boxing game is it looks interesting, but the characters on screen are walking and running around in an arena circle like crazy, and there's no way for the Switch to control or see if you're doing that, so that is not movement you are controlling through that. Maybe you're controlling it through some other way, but the problem with the Joy-Cons and the Switch in general is the buttons to me look like they're all in the wrong place. They look like there's way too few, and and it's just like totally terribly designed as far as I can see. It feels like it is the worst kind of multitasker you could ever put together. If you ever seen, well, you almost certainly have seen the multi-tools that people sometimes give as gifts and sometimes get and carry around. Those multi-tools are awful, because if you pull out the knife and try to use the knife, you don't have a proper handle grip on the knife. The knife is probably not as sharp as you need to be or in the right length as it needs to be, and it just doesn't. It's really just this entire it's just a false thing that maybe you could whittle with it, but you can even get better knives to whittle. Cut a little piece of string, maybe cut a shoelace, but it's not good for anything. It's not even good for self-protection, because the knives are usually so dull and so short that you would have to get pretty precise and hit an organ to kill somebody with it, or even hurt somebody damage significantly. Then you've got the next thing on the multi-tool. It's just this saw that's useless with a ruler on it that you would never use in a million years. And then you've got a flat head that has no torque on it and isn't long enough to go anywhere where a screw might be recessed. And then you might have a bottle opener, which nobody needs a bottle opener in today's day and age, and it probably wouldn't work that well too, because half of these things don't even lock into place. And so
I must.
So I could go through the rest of the tools on the multi-tool, but it doesn't even matter. I don't even know why I'm talking about it so much. My point is, that's what the Nintendo Switch feels like. It feels like a multi-tool. It feels like all of these different features added together just because they want to have all the features together. None of them are precise enough. None of them are looking like they will work well together. And I just don't think they're going to get support from third-party video game creators at all. I think they'll do their 2, maybe 3 games a year from Nintendo, which is not worth the price, which is $300 for the initial box Switch, and it only gets worse later.
I dream and the world trembles.
But there is this supposed to be 3D vibration in the Joy-Cons, which is supposed to give you more feedback in the machine. I kind of wonder if it might be a similar technology to what the force feedback on the new iPhones are, with the tiny little magnet that goes back at a very high frequency, or what. I was slightly surprised to hear that the demo in 1-2 Switch with the 3D force feedback was that you were holding a box and anywhere between 1 and 9 cubes were in it. That seemed like a lot, and the fact that it can go up to 9 tells me that it's very possible there are as many as 9 very small motors in that in the system, in the Joy-Con itself, not the system. A lot of the information and stuff is built into the Joy-Cons themselves, it seems, where the middle console may be only doing 70% of the work, or maybe even as low as 50% of the work. If there are actually 9 motors in the Joy-Con that are really, really small, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in a circular shape or a spheroid shape, with motors just in each direction, and a lot of maybe on-chip processing going on or something. But yeah, that's really crazy. Let's see. What else? Mario Kart's coming out. And as far as the Switch price, let's just quickly cover this and then we'll end this recording. Nintendo Switch is $300 even to start with. It is $80 for 2 more Joy-Cons, which for some games that might be 4 controllers, because you start with 2 Joy-Cons, and some games split those 2 into 1 to play some games. So you might have a 4-player co-op for $380, which is really expensive sounding, kind of cheap because of inflation, but it doesn't really matter because inflation isn't the whole picture. The economy is doing really badly, and it feels really badly, so that feels really expensive to me. To get the Pro controller is $70, which I think it is. I might be a little bit off there, but it's slightly cheaper than buying 2 Joy-Cons. And to get special wrist straps that snap onto the Joy-Cons and give you slightly better buttons that are recessed in the tops of the Joy-Cons that snap into the sides of the screen, is $30. Now, I would assume it's $30 for both straps, but that still is ridiculously expensive. So to get just another set of straps and Joy-Cons alone, you're paying $110 for something that probably should be $60. It's a big ripoff. Big ripoff. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day people described the Nintendo Switch as a final cash grab before Nintendo stopped making consoles, because it just seems crazy. It really seems crazy. With their new president, I have no idea what they're thinking of doing, but they certainly don't want to lose any money on console sales. They're certainly not discounting it. Maybe that's part of their plan, though, is that they're going to try to get more into sales, and every other month we'll have heavily discounted 50% off sales on the Nintendo Switch. I don't know, but it seems like a bad strategy to me. Alright, so next recording we need to win 2 games with the Hunter, ideally, because we don't want to play as the Mage since we're already at 60. We're at level 50 with the Hunter, so sooner or later here, when we get these quests that say Hunter and Mage, I'll have to just get rid of them all. I've got a lot more to talk about, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. So it's turned out YouTube seems to have said that they're going to get rid of fan funding, which means they will be officially shut down and probably not replaced with anything that can work for me, and instead you'll be able to spend like pin comments on live videos, which I don't do live videos, so that becomes useless. But because of that, that means I now am able to start changing my ending yet again, and try to keep it a little bit faster, because now the whole click on my name, go to my main YouTube page, on the right is a button that says support this channel. I can't really don't have to bother to say that, because I wasn't getting money from that anyways, never have gotten a penny from it, but now, since that button is probably going away and already gone by the time you see this video, now I can just jump right into the description, social media links in the description. And so I'll probably also want to split my ending up a little bit, so I retrain myself to say like, share, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Go to subscribe to my channel and click the bell next to it, and click for notifications. Click the bell for notifications, and then go, if you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links in the description box. I kind of wish there was still a better, quicker way to say it, but at least it's getting a little quicker. Anyways, if you actually do want to follow a friend me on social media links, those links are down below, and I'm slowly growing pretty well on Twitter in particular. There, I'm not really growing on Facebook at all, which is fine. I don't think people want to watch YouTube stuff on Facebook, but I could be wrong. Anyways, that's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.